welcome to another episode of Design on Purpose. And I'm here today with Martin, who I just recently met at one of these Nomio events here in Bali, Canggu. What was the group that you were talking with?
Oh, Jesus. It's the tech group or something. I don't
Yeah,
remember the name.
there's a lot of these groups around here in Bali. A lot of digital nomads and entrepreneurs cruising around here doing some very interesting things. So Martin was talking about automations, and you were showing some very interesting examples of bots and some of the things that you were doing. So this is a hot topic at the moment. You know, a lot of people that I've been speaking to in entrepreneurship, they always hit this mark, Martin, with a block around systems. You know, it's a big topic right now, how to automate, and obviously AI is a hot topic.
Yeah.
But can you share us a little bit about your background, you know, and your interest in automation?
All right. Okay. Just trying to figure out how far back I need to go.
But what is your industry or your role? You mentioned you do marketing. Is it? Maybe we start there.
Yeah.
We can kind of we can pull the thread a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So I specialize in marketing, normally like email marketing more than anything, to start with. So this is where I started. So basically, I work with big clothing brands in France and like in Europe. So like well-known clothing and like cosmetic brands, you know, the L'Oreal, things like this.
Oh wow.
And basically, so it's an affiliate model. So basically, I bring them clients, and they reward me every time someone buys from them. And so the job is pretty easy once you're in. Obviously, you have to get in first. But they will prepare everything. They will create, so they have an offer, 50% on, I don't know, boots or whatever. They will create the whole campaign, the HTML. They just give me the HTML code, and then I put it in my email system, and then I press send. And then every time someone buys, I will get a percentage. And every time someone clicks, I will get a flat fee, 10 cents, 20 cents, depends.
Yeah.
And so, I started with this. And so, there are a lot of people who do this, but they spend an awful lot of time doing it. And me, my purpose has always been to have a pretty cool life where I have time and I have peace of mind. So I started to find ways of optimizing the stuff so that it will take me less time than other people. And instead of running like 100 and something campaigns, I could run maybe 3 campaigns. And so I optimized over time. To the point where I ended up working 3 hours a week on Mondays.
Oh wow! Did they know that you were doing that, or you just
No.
it doesn't matter, right? If you got it all sorted.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's rancho relaxo, you know. You just gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you're getting your work done.
Yeah, and so those 3 hours. So I was doing a round the world tour at the time. And 3 hours might not seem like much, but I always had them in the back of my mind. So I'm traveling. Let's say you want to go explore some jungle or something. You're like, oh man, it's Monday. I need to be in front of the computer. And so eventually I hired someone to do those 3 hours for me.
Okay.
And then because now I had time, I started looking into more like automation in general, like business automation and marketing automation.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying you started in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
It's very apt, coming from Paris.
Yeah.
And then how did you expand out from there? Like obviously you had a knack for or an interest in automations and optimizing your time.
Yeah.
When did you realize that was actually a skill set that you could apply across to other industries, and how did you expand out? Because you're not like in fashion right now, are you?
No, I don't know the first thing about fashion. Like plus it's women fashion. I don't know the first thing about it. So they do all the work. So it's just by like understanding. Like if you understand business, you understand marketing, you can get by and be able to sell stuff to to provide the right stuff to the right person. So for example, so I don't know the first thing about fashion, women fashion, I don't know, right? But I have the same kind of like process for everything to decide how I'm going to go in the market, right? So basically, I have a huge email list. I have at the time when I started, I had 4 million people in my database.
Well, is that on your email list?
Yeah, yeah,
No way.
yeah. I had 4 million people. I will explain later how.
I want to know
how I
all
did
about that.
Okay.
That's gold.
And so now I have 4 million people, right? And with 4 million people, you can sell them. You can sell anything, right? You can go into any business because you have a lot of people. But now the thing is, there are a bunch of things that I don't necessarily like to do in a business, and one is acquisition. So acquiring clients.
Yeah.
Because that is for me, it doesn't excite me. It takes time, it takes money, it takes a lot of effort. You have to go online, create
Well,
videos and
like
stuff.
cold emails, or you mean content creation, or all of the above?
Yeah, all of the above. Because so for someone to buy from you the first time, like your kind of like your cost per sale, depending on the market, it's going to be like $50 or something, $50, $60, right? And for someone just to give you their email, sometimes you'll pay $30 or something. Okay. And so this is the part that I don't like doing that stuff. I'm more like a creator.
Yeah.
And so I realized that if you pick the right business model, then you have to do less of it. And so me, in my case, I had 4 million people. And then I was like, okay, I need a business where I have to do less acquisition. And in order to do this, I need to basically find a product that people buy repeatedly, right? Because if I sell you a car,
Oh man, I understand this problem so well because
Yeah.
I did brand transformations,
Uh-huh.
and like people don't do that very often.
Yeah.
And when you do something very well, like if you do a really good job with branding, you want to set the client up so they never have to contact you again. They've got
Yeah.
all the assets, they've got the brand style guide, they know exactly what to do. So you kind of like shoot yourself in the foot in a way because
Yeah.
then you got to go and find the next thing. So
Yeah.
I get this, I understand this challenge.
Yeah, that reminds me. Do you watch Shark Tank?
No. I've seen a couple of things here, but
Yeah. So there was this episode. It's very interesting because you can see how investors will think, because the way the business owner and the investor will think, you might think that it's the same thing. It's really not.
yeah.
So there's this guy, he created this cable. This cable was like indestructible. So all the construction companies, they could use it. It was so safe and stuff. But the guy said, well, once they buy one, they're not going to buy another one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the product was too good.
Yeah.
So these things I never actually considered those.
Yeah.
things,
What about the obsolescence? You got to integrate the obsolescence into the
which,
product.
Which is not very moral, to be honest.
No, it's not. It's not.
So the guy was doing something great, which is I'm creating this awesome product.
Yeah.
But it comes with challenges in the fact that then people don't need to buy more. It's like Crocs. The Crocs shoes.
Yeah.
They have the same problem. These shoes were indestructible, and so there was not enough rebuy.
Yeah.
And so they had to change their marketing and stuff, because at some point you see the brand was going down.
Yeah.
So.
So then, what was the product then that you came to?
Yeah. So I decided, hey, let me go into clothing, because people buy repeatedly. Right.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up in clothing. It's not like I have a specific interest in it. And then from there, so now I go from I can do anything to I can do clothing, because people buy repeatedly. So it means I can get by with less acquisition. Obviously, you still have people, like you have a churn, like people who will leave your database, but then you just have to replace them, and it's less effort. Then from there, I was like, okay, do I go with men or women? So I looked at the habits and stuff, and I decided to ditch the dudes, right? And so I focused on women. So now I went from everything to clothing to women clothing. And then from there, I decided, okay, instead of working with every single brand, let me do some testing and figure out what are the 20% of those brands that will give me the best results. And so I tested, and I saw, well, I like these 3 brands. They're fantastic. And that's how, so people will do the same job. They will do 100 campaigns, like hundreds of campaigns. Me, I just looked at, okay, what are the ones that are going to give me those 80, 90%, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up working with like two brands. And I eventually won, which was giving me 90% of those 90%. But it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. Don't rely on one brand, one source of traffic or stuff like that.
Okay. Good advice.
And so once I did this, then I basically realized that it is possible for me to go into a business by applying just this very simple flow to figure out, okay, how can I get the best results with minimum effort, I will say. And then all I have to do is, once I'm there, I just need to figure out how to either outsource what I don't like to do or not how to do, or later down the road automate, because I started with outsourcing more than automation first.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, this sounds like it's definitely something that I'm running into now. Like we just
Mm-hmm.
talked about it, before, like as we were setting up, like there's things in the business that you really like doing, but they take a lot of your time, and they're not things that maybe add monetary or bring in cash flow. And
Yeah.
you're talking there around like customer acquisition, which I'm sure is something that a lot of people would like to automate.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple of questions around that. I guess the first thing is, well, I'm very intrigued about how you built an email list of 4 million
Yeah.
people, and making a decision about how you're going to target that email list, and
Mm-hmm.
deciding to go into fashion. Like, how would you, are you just building a generic email list and then that aren't specific to those categories? And how do you breaking that up? Huh?
That's a very good question, actually.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So back in the days, I was working in a company. It was a marketing company. Okay, and we had offices in APAC, which is Asia Pacific, and I think it's Hong Kong. We had an office in Hong Kong, and they created a product called the Five Dragons. And I was like,
I love that.
this is the coolest name on the planet. I had to know what this thing does, right? And so what this thing does is, so we're a big email service provider. So we have a whole bunch of clients. We're sending like millions of emails per client per day. Okay. So we have a whole bunch of statistical data as to what happens to those emails. And so all that data was going into that database called Five Dragons. And so we knew that, let's say, for example, this person like Monique, blah, 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 well, she received this type of emails and she clicked 10 times on retail, and she only clicked once on cars or something, right? Okay. So we could figure out like kind of like have a profile. And so what happened was that there were companies, like big groups, like for example, like a Coca-Cola, for example. They ran this marketing campaign like 3 years ago, and they collected a whole bunch of emails, but nobody ever did anything with those emails. So now they have this list, and they're like, dude, what do we do with it? We don't know if it's clean, if these emails still exist. So they will basically give us that database, and we will compare with our database. So we'll say, have we seen this email? Yes, we have. And then we can tell you, okay, this person is more likely to open this, and don't send them this, or this person complains a lot, remove them, or this person.
It's like not opening the email, so
Yeah.
we get it off the list.
Exactly.
You're constantly pruning the list, right?
Yeah. So there were categories like, openers in the last 3 months, openers in the last 6 months, openers in the last year, and then a whole bunch of fields, that will tell you what interest they had, right? So I saw this and I was like, oh my God, I need to do this at some point. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to get there. So basically my job was, I was very, very highly specialized. And at the time, when I started this job, I will say that there were maybe 10 people on the planet who actually knew what we were doing. But it was one of these jobs where, for one candidate, for example, if I was looking for a job, there would have been like 20 companies looking, right? So it's not like you go to an interview, there are like 100 of you. It's you go to an interview, everybody's fighting for you, And so when I was changing company, all my clients were like, oh my God, we're going to die when you leave. What are we going to do? So I said, look, because I did save their asses like a few times. And I said, look, here's my number. I can help you. I can give you some advice and stuff, as long as, there's no privileged information that, my former employer is going to say, why are you doing this, blah, blah, blah. And so I maintained this really good relationship with these people. And then one day I said, well, these people, they do send a whole bunch of emails. I'm going to do the same thing. So I contacted them and I said, look, I'm going to build this database, and I'm going to interface with your email servers. And every time you send the information, the emails out, I collect the stats. And then I'm going to provide that same type of service, and you get a cut. So they get to
Okay.
monetize their database in a different way without having to do any work. And, so I started doing this. But the data inside the data mart is not mine. So I cannot use it. I don't want to use it. It's not mine. And so one day I was working at a company, and so we have this meeting, and there are two clients in the same meeting. And I'm like, who's the idiot to set up this meeting? There are two clients. Like, well, I cannot give them privileged information. But it turns out that one business, a huge e-commerce website in France, got bust. Like, it went bankrupt in like a couple of days. And these guys, they went to an auction and they bought the database. And so me, I had no idea it was possible. So I went to the CEO. I said, but can you do that? He said, yes.
It's an asset. It's a company asset.
Yeah, but everybody will go fight for the tables and stuff. And so this is when I realized, I was like, oh my God. So the only thing I have to do is to figure out when companies go bankrupt, I go buy the database and I have the tool to clean it. And I'm the owner
Wow.
of the thing. So basically now my only job was figuring out, okay, this company went bust. I will go and I will buy the database. So even if it's like a construction company or something, it doesn't matter, because once I run it to my tool, I can see that, well, this person actually likes cars or like sports or something. And then I put it in the right bucket. Right.
Wow,
And
that's so cool. Is that software that you've built?
yeah, so I had a business partner he's the techie guy, right? Because me, I don't know how to code and stuff like that. So basically I went to him with the idea. I said, okay, we need to build this stuff. So he took care of building it. And then afterwards, when I saw the opportunity, I told them this is what we're gonna do. And this is, we basically bought, I think it's like 10 million emails, across different auctions. And at the end of the day, we ended up with, no, I think it was like 16 million. And then we ended up with something like 8 million. And then we just split the thing. So I got 4, he got 4. And then now I had my own database where I can run my own campaigns.
Wow.
And this is how I got in there. So I didn't have to run like funnels and pay Facebook and stuff. It would have cost me billions of dollars.
Yeah, they say like this is something that I've started like getting into recently. Like I've been like focusing on the personal branding stuff and like listening to a lot of these like really good systems guys, like Matt Gray. I don't know if you've come across him at all. Yeah. Interesting, but they always say to like the number one thing you got to do is just build the email list, because when you get the email, the email is like you're directly now in contact with that person, right? It's not like on someone else's platform. So it's like one of the most valuable things that you can do is actually to build a database. Now you've gone like, not only do you have the email, but you've got this other extra like all these other layers of detail about these people. There's so many questions around that. It's like, because basically now you can design a product based on the people on your list. And you have a pretty good chance of success, right? Because you know who these people are.
I know historically what they're buying and stuff, so that's why, when I went into clothing, even though I don't know the first thing about clothing, I just said, okay, who are the people who are buying clothing, like women clothing? Bam, I have a bunch of people and I show them the product. And so I have pretty good results.
That's so interesting. And the other day you were showing something as well, like when we're talking about acquisition, you're talking about how much you love client acquisition, and talking about you've got some tool that you use for LinkedIn on this. Like I was at the back and the microphone was a little bit funky at the thing. I don't know if you, so I couldn't see 100% what you were doing, but you were running through something very interesting, which was like a bot that you use to find customers that you'd like to talk to.
So again, because acquisition takes a whole lot of time, because at the end of the day, when you build these funnels, so you go on YouTube, they say, you need to build this funnel and blah blah blah. So now I also want people to understand, when people say funnel, there are different funnels. Like there are sales funnels, there are like onboarding funnels and stuff. A funnel is not just what you see, opt-in, blah blah blah. But let's say an opt-in funnel, like at the end of the day, what you're trying to get to is to get people's emails, right? So me, I just find a way to get directly to what I'm trying to get, instead of having to do run ads and test them, and then I just go and get the email. So basically, I created a system that allows me to basically target who I like the ideal person for my business. So I can go super granular. I can say, let's say, for example, and I do it for like the like professional addresses because you're allowed to contact them. And so let's say I want to find the CEO of a advertising agency in Beverly Hills who's been in business for 10 years and who makes more than, I don't know, $2 million or something and has like 200 employees. Then I basically punch that in my tool, and it's basically
I'm
going
just
to
like imagining this person in my head. Yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly. And then what? And their emails, you get
Yeah.
an Excel spreadsheet full of these emails, right?
Yeah, well, when I was doing the demo, I was putting it in like a Google Sheet, but
Yeah, a Google
it
Sheet,
doesn't
yeah.
need to go in the Google Sheet. It will go directly into
To a
my email
CRM,
system.
right?
Yeah. So basically, how it works is now my tool is going to go out and look for whoever matches those criteria, and then I built my own infrastructure that allows me to then like enrich the contact with an email. So basically, find the email for that person simply because corporate addresses like there's not a gazillion combinations. It's either first name dot last name or first letter of a first name and then last name.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a bunch of combinations, right? And so I spent some money and some time building like a tool that will basically figure out what is the most likely combination based on everything I've seen online. And from there, it basically, once it finds it, it is then going to verify that this email actually exists. All right.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and then once it exists, I know, okay, that's Robert's email address. And then I send it straight away to my email tool. And my email tool is already configured to say, once someone is added to the list, on day one, you send them this. And if they don't reply, if they don't open, you send them this on day three. And then
Yeah, like a drip feed campaign kind
yeah.
of thing, right? So, but then like it must like just with the email database, it's quite expensive to keep emails on the list, right? That aren't. I mean, maybe if you've got your own tool, it's different. But if you're running on like a third party like CRM, you got to prune the list because you're paying for inactive emails, right? So they say just it's better to just prune. So are you looking for like an open rate percentage on your list or of person, or like how are you managing the list? Because that seems like a whole process on its own.
Yeah, I mean,
You probably automate it too, right?
Yeah, no, these are very good questions actually.
Thank you.
No, these are really good questions because these are things that people don't necessarily know. So, so you have different models. So the model that most people will know is the model where you pay based on the number of contacts you have in your database. All right. So the companies I come from, we're working with like Fortune 500 companies, right?
Yeah.
These guys, they have like millions of emails in their database. And so we did not charge them depending on the size, but we charge them based on the CPM. Every time they send 1,000 emails, they will
It's
pay.
click. What's CPM?
It's cost per mail.
Per
so
mail.
cost
Okay.
per 1,000.
Okay, gotcha.
So every 1,000 emails, they will pay, I don't know, maybe like, 5 cents or something, and so there are different models. Yes, indeed, if you have an autoresponder or like an email tool that charges you based on the size, then you obviously need to do all these things. It's imperative. Even if you're not being charged for it, it's best to clean the list. But then I build my own stuff. I build my own servers and stuff, so I can have a good like a trillion emails in there. I don't pay more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I will still. So my thing is this is my philosophy, and then people, that's how it works for me. Is when someone gets into this automation, they didn't specifically ask to be in there. Okay, so I don't need them to be in there longer than necessary. I will have a 3 message, like a 3 email sequence, and then from there, if they haven't taken action, then they're off. I don't, and so that allows me that way to only focus on the ones that actually replied and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. It's so interesting. Like, yeah, because I mean, something what I've just recently done is
Hmm.
I've collated all my emails. You know, like
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of that process where I've gathered all the emails that I've sent over the last 10 years of having my agency, and
Okay.
I'm in the process where I'm like cleaning the list, and I'm going to start engaging with people through there. So kind
Hmm.
of like the reason I think I'm able to answer these questions.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry, ask these questions is because I'm kind of going through something like a
Yeah.
little micro version of what you're doing there.
Okay.
But like, what's the real value of an email list? Like, you know, in systems thinking, you know, they say the only valid test of an idea, concept, or theory is what it enables you to do. You know,
Hmm.
so like you've got this email list.
Yeah.
What is the power of that? What does that actually enable you to do?
So what it allows me to do is it, so I created so now so there's a problem also of having too much data. I'm like, do that. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I have 2 million emails here. What is this? And then I spend 3 hours figuring out what is that list. And so you need to be able to send this stuff. You know what I mean? But so what I did is so one day I was talking to someone and I told them, look, I need to find a way to start one business per day. And they were like, dude, it's impossible. And I said, watch me. And so because I have that list, I created another system that I added on top of this that allows me to create one business per day. I could create 365 businesses every year. Okay. Um, because basically what the only thing you need, right, to have a business, there are three components that you need a page or a physical location. Let's say I'm going to start with a, because people don't understand that the internet, the funnels and blah blah blah, they think it's very different from reality. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that's just being applied to the internet. Okay. So if I let's say I open a store. Okay, I open the store but the damn store is empty. Well, I'm not going to make any money, right? So I need to put stuff in there that people can buy. So you need a place. In there, you need some stuff. But if I have the place and the stuff, but nobody comes in, I make zero money, right? And then all I need now is people to come in. So now, once I have the place with the products and the people who come in, I make money. I have a business. Okay, I don't need something fancy. And so online is the same thing. It's going to be, there's this mosquito. Uh, Online is going to be, you have one page. On this page, there's a product, and then you send traffic. It's the same thing. People don't realize. So they, people, we always tend to try to make everything more complex and blah blah blah. It's the same concept. And so now I have a database. I know exactly what these people want, and all I have to do is to go out and find an affiliate product. So for those who don't know, like an affiliate product, again, it's a fancy word and stuff, but you're just a middleman or middlewoman. Okay. So basically, you have a product that you want to sell. You want to sell this microphone. I know a whole bunch of people who want to buy the damn microphone, and so I just tell them, "Oh, go buy from her." All right. I'm a middleman, and every time someone buys, I get my commission. I say, "Oh, I brought you a client." Okay. So all I have to do is to look in my database. I'm like, I have a bunch of accountants in there. I find an accounting
Software or something, or
yeah,
like a tool or whatever.
exactly. And then I start my automation. Take these guys and then write an email that says, hey, maybe you're spending too much time doing your accounting and blah blah blah. What if you could have something that does X, Y, Z? By the way, I've been using a tool that does this. Here's the link. Boom. And every day I can create a business, and I don't need that. That's the beauty of the thing for entrepreneurs is, in most cases, people think that you have the burden of being the specialist in the field. Like, I don't need to learn about accounting, right? The company I'm going to get the link from, they know accounting, they know all that stuff, right? My job is just to find people who are interested in their software,
I
and
got it.
so I can go into any business any day with this email list.
But that sounds like so much complexity in there too. Like, how do you keep, like, it sounds like you have to keep building onto the thing to keep like, because there's more levels of complexity as you go, right? As you discover, as you play with the thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how are you keeping track of like these campaigns that you run with these lists, and then
Yeah.
is that something that you're running into right now? Or?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. I think there's and this is also like one of the big misconceptions that I see around is, when you create your business, you have you have like, let's say you have many types, but there are like two main types. You have a creator and you have a performer. Okay, I'm a creator. Like, don't ask me to go and look at spreadsheets and remember where the folder is. I don't know, right? And so, so I found someone who loves doing this stuff.
Okay, cool.
So they're the ones tracking the campaigns, because me, I basically get paid. I get, I get notifications and stuff, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Someone's paying me. I don't know who it is. I'm like, who is this? And then I will ask my who is, oh, this is the campaign. So she manages all the campaigns. She knows where stuff is and stuff. I don't know. So it's finding a person who's everything I'm not, and they are in charge of tracking all this stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
My job is to make it easier for her to do her job. And so I created a tool, and this tool is fantastic. I mean, it's just amazing. It's a really cool tool.
Does it have a name, this tool?
No, it doesn't actually. I haven't named a whole bunch of these tools because I build these tools for me. I don't build them to sell them.
What's the hope with it? Are you planning to turn these into like products that you can sell, or are they right now it's just?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are in my mastermind. I told you I have a mastermind.
Oh yeah,
and when
that's a school mastermind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, school mastermind.
And when people join the mastermind, they have access to all these tools. There's some that I will sell to people, because I do sell like online products and stuff. But most of these tools, I just put them at their disposal,
Okay.
But this one is very cool. So in order for her to be able to easily identify the campaign we should be doing and stuff, I went to my developer one day and I said, do you think we can download all the websites on the internet? He said yes. And I was like, this is fantastic. So
isn't that kind of what Google did, and they just reversed it, right?
Yeah. Google, they download, they download the content. Me, I just wanted the list, right?
Okay.
And so
wow.
From there, because so basically, now I can sell anything because I do have the data points to know, okay, these people are interested in it. And so one thing that I had to do was I have to look for the affiliate programs, right? And my thing is, let's say, for example, like a pool. How much does it cost? It costs a whole bunch of money. Someone buys a pool, I make a lot of money. Someone buys a piano or a jacuzzi or like a private jet or something. So I'm looking for these things that are very expensive that some people will buy, and I will make a commission, But at some point, I just run out of ideas and time. So I decided, look, I'm going to create a robot that's actually going to do all that search for me. So I created a robot. Now the robot is doing 50,000 searches per day. And so it's basically going to find, this website there does have an affiliate program. So it will give me the link of the affiliate program. Then it's going to analyze the page. They're going to tell me what is the model. So is it a flat fee? Is it recurring? What is the percentage or something, right? And then from there, let's say, for example, there is a percentage. It pays 50%. Like, oh, fantastic, but 50% of what, right? So now it will go find the pricing page, and it will go on the pricing page, and it will find the highest number it can find there, and then it will put it in the box. So I know I can make 50% of, let's say, $10,000, because sometimes it will be 90%, but the product is $10, right?
Got
so
it.
I would have wasted my time. And so now I have this robot. Basically, I have my own database of affiliate programs. So all she has to do is think. I'm like, oh, why don't we try to go into like mattresses, for example? They sell really well, and they pay something like $300, $400 commission for like a sale. And she will type mattress. Then we have a whole bunch of programs. She knows, which one pays the most, and then she will set things up, and then she does the tracking.
Wow, it's like you're solving this whole like testing, failing fast, and the other. Well, you not only that, but you're giving yourself really good odds there.
Yeah.
But it's like you're saying there. It's like, you know, when you're building a product, you've got to have the end user, and you've got to have the product, and then you've got the offering there too, like with the I guess what drives the economic engine of that particular business. So you've got all the components already kind of there with the data, and it's just about matching. You're literally just like matching the right person with the right product and the right offer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all automated.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, for me right now, it's automated because I'm not the one doing it, so it's out of my plate.
But you've spent a lot of time building the tool.
Yeah. And so, so now, again, let's say I decide, I check my database. I'm like, oh, these people are interested in, I don't know, like pianos or something, right? And then all I have to do now, I created this tool so that we can find affiliate programs very easily. And then, as we said, all we have to do is just to write a bunch of emails. And now with AI, it's very easy to do. We write a bunch of emails, and then we launch the tool that will grab those people and show them the product. And then that's pretty much it, and that's how in one day I can do this every day now, because it's, I systemized the whole thing before.
Wow. Isn't it so interesting that like the thing that you really dislike, like you're talking about the fact that you really disliked customer acquisition, has actually become, you're wearing the best shirt for it, it's become your superpower?
Yeah, it's just these are just examples, just one of them. My superpower is, I'll say, I'm pretty good at building systems, at basically mapping things in my mind. Like now, for example, my brain is trained on this stuff. So when I go to a business, I can see, like the Matrix. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
So
seeing all the binary code.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's how they make money. This is how this stuff works. And then I can remap it, and I can see, oh, this is interesting. Let me try and let me test this stuff. So that will be kind of like my superpower. But this superpower is aimed at giving me a kick-ass lifestyle. So everything I do is to basically make my life enjoyable, but like my life for me specifically, not for someone else or whatever, because we're all different, right?
Yeah.
So you love things that I probably don't. So my job is, all these systems are designed to build the perfect life for you.
That's very cool. So is that, and you've been living here in Bali, you said, for like the last nine years. That's a pretty good lifestyle.
Yeah. It's very cool. I mean, the weather is nice. People are very nice here, and I've been here in this villa here for like 9 years. I haven't moved because I still have rice fields around. It's very quiet because
it is quiet. It is nice here.
Yeah, you don't hear all the.
No, this is like one of the only places I've been in Canggu where I can hear birds.
Yeah.
And no construction.
Yeah, well, there are a few constructions starting, but and so I have this environment. I really like it, and also basically my life. I wake up every day. Every day I wake up happy. So there are people that have like their baseline is there, and then during the day they need to come up. They're unhappy.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
I wake up happy. Like the only thing that people can do is bring me down. It's not, some people can cheer me up and stuff, but I wake up happy. Everything is, I have peace of mind because I know stuff is being done. And it's making way more money than I need, because I have very, very basic needs. I'm a very simple guy. And so, I've loved the life I had, and Bali is a good place.
That's success, isn't it? Like when you can get to that level of happiness, and we don't really need much to be happy. And I think a lot of people kind of overcomplicate their lives, in the rat race. And I was in the sauna the other day, and we were talking to some people, and there was some guy who had had some big fancy job in some big company, built up a huge business, but was super unhappy, sold all his expensive stuff. Now he's super happy just cruising around on a scooter in Canggu with a very simple lifestyle and focused on health. And I've met so many people like that around here.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's this. It's not from me. It's from like a really awesome French marketer that I was following. He said, "You need to build a life you don't need to escape from."
Yeah.
You know, like for example, when you think about it, like people like I've never actually considered this because it's very hard to explain until you live it, right? But the thing is, when you go on holiday, you go on holiday from something,
Yeah.
from
What?
your
Of what?
colleagues,
Of
from
what?
work, from blah blah blah. I don't need holiday. I don't feel the need for a holiday. I'm not running away from anything. Every day I'm like I'm happy. So I don't go on holiday just because I have to go. If there's something I really, really want to see, like, oh my God, I've always wanted to see this, I might go. But I don't have this need of, oh, I need, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's
We
very
live on
hard.
holiday,
Yes.
don't we?
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, for me, that is success when you build this this life. You know you're happy, you're content every day. You don't need to oh, I need some time off, etc. That's success for me. More than the money, more I could live off of even if I had like 100 times less, but I have this like peace of mind.
You'll
I'm
be
gold.
happy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gold.
Was there a point in your life or that you realized that was where you made that shift? Like, were you working really hard on something and then you kind of had a set shift or something
Uh,
that kind of shifted you towards that goal in life, or have you always kind of had that mindset?
Yeah, yeah, I've always been like like a fairly simple guy, I will say. Um but yeah, I realized so yeah, well actually, you know what? There is something called the Tao Philippines. It's a an expedition on remote islands in Philippines in Palawan where basically for 5 days you are on this amazing boat. So there was a boat like there's only one or two people in the Philippines who know how to build this boat because it's like ancestral stuff
Oh
that was
wow.
passed down from generations. And basically you go there and for like 5 days you don't have signal, you don't have your computer, you don't have blah blah blah, etc. And there's nobody around you. You go on these islands, they're like pristine. There's not even like footsteps or something. There's no light pollution. So in the at night you can see the stars and stuff. And then you realize that in the evening, normally you're with your phone. Here it was like we make a bonfire and you actually talk to people,
Whoa,
and
imagine that.
yeah, which because sometimes you're like, let's say I leave my house, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot my phone, I'm gonna die, and then you go back and stuff. So here, after like 5 days, and I was like, oh my god, and I realized, dude, life is super simple. We had like shorts, tank top. You're talking to people, you're eating, you're sleeping and stuff, and you're having like interesting conversations because on this thing, it evolved because now there are more companies who are doing this, but there were like maybe 100 disclaimers that said, look, if you're a fancy pants or something, don't come. This is going to be an adventure. This is going to be so the people that you meet there are people who are like they were in the same vibe as me. And then I realized, hey, you know what? All these things that I worry about, when my internet is slow, which still drives me nuts. It's nothing, but that drives me nuts, And so that kind of like reinforced it that, oh, you know what? I don't need much in life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a very good message. I think it's one that people definitely need reminding of. I was watching this rock climber. Who's the guy who he did the free climb of the Dolomites El Capitan? Did you see this?
No.
This documentary. It was this rock climbing free climb with no ropes, and I saw a clip of him the other day, and he's like, "Fuck, people are so complain that they don't do things that scare them enough in life."
Yeah.
That they make fear because they make up these like things to be scared of, like, oh, my plane's going to be late, oh, I left my phone at home, and they like create these anxieties and worries about things that aren't even really important when it's big. And he's like saying the importance of actually doing things that actually really are scary. Like he risks his life every time he's like free climbing. It's I think it's a good thing to do. And what about your, like there's probably a lot of entrepreneurs that end up building a prison for themselves. Like I've definitely done this at a point with my business, like you kind of cave yourself in. What advice, having the skill set that you've had, and maybe people can't like, go to the extent of which you've gone. I mean, it's extreme. What you're doing is like it's very robust and complex.
Yeah.
what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are building their business and getting to this point where their time is so consumed in actually running the business?
So I will say it's a very good question. It's one piece of advice that I like to give to people. There's this guy called Simon Sinek.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Start with why.
Yeah. So yeah, he wrote this book, Start with Why, and it's very funny because I had never read the book when I was writing. So when I was doing a round the world tour, and I actually wrote a book, and my first thing was starting with why, and it was before I saw his books, which was very interesting. So most people don't actually take the time to sit down and find their why. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to do. Now, the problem is that people think that this is the ultimate that's the ultimate goal, that's the final destination, and it's not.
It's the start.
It's the start, because the what actually matters is to remember your why every day, because if you don't, you'll end up doing some stupid stuff that you don't want to do. Like me, there are a lot of people who will ask me, oh, please come do some consultancy. Then you come to my office every day and for 6 months or something like that, blah, blah, blah. I could do it for the money, but then it's going to kill me. You know what I mean? And so because I've seen people, they've done the exercise like, yeah, I found my why. And then 3 months later, they end up doing stuff that's completely like,
Off the
different.
why. It's
Yeah.
like they've gone rogue.
Yeah. And so it just boils down to this, is just remember that why every day. So your decisions, the decisions that you're going to make for the business and for your life, they just have to go through that filter. How do you, is that? Yeah, funnel it's called. Yeah. It has to go through that funnel. Does it go in? Yes or no? And that will solve all your problems more than, I could give you some scientific method or some blah, blah, blah. It boils down to just one thing. Just remember your why. Is this going to take my time more than, if yes, sorry, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? And that's
Does
what
it
I
align? Does it align? This is great because this is a lot of the work that I was doing in transformation and brand.
do. Uh-huh.
And I would come across this so often, whether it's a person or a large scale organization. A lot of the time they were having troubles was when they had gone off their core reason for existing in the first place, and then they get like go through kind of like a midlife crisis where they've kind of like gone away from their identity. Such a common thing, and yeah, 100% agree with you. Is there a purpose statement that you kind of have articulated, or is it just the what you stated before, you kind of just have in your mind that it's around your lifestyle?
Yeah. So my head is very simple. I want a kick-ass lifestyle, and I want people to leave me alone. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, I want peace. That's the thing.
Beneath that is peace.
Yeah, it's peace. It's just peace. I just want peace. And so all these things, is that going to bring me peace? Not really. And so I don't do it. Sometimes it's very tempting, because sometimes there's like a lot of money at stake and stuff. But I'll have my peace of mind and stuff over the money any day. So
I love that. That's good integrity, Martin. I like it.
Yeah. I'm a very simple guy, and for example, I eat the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Every meal. Okay, I just eat the same thing.
What's your meal? What is it?
It's a edamame and a pad thai chicken.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I've been eating for the last maybe year. Sometimes I'm adventurous and then I will change at some point for the next 2 years.
It quits decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm the same thing. Like I'm very habitual like that too. And I find it just takes so much like stress or just unnecessary decision making out the door. Like I will go to the same place every day. I will do my workout, same, I stick to a program.
Yeah.
I just literally go between my place and the gym where I work and work out and do all that. Like I don't explore around much because I'm literally I'm in the zone of just staying focused. And all my decision making and all my kind of mental capacity is going towards that thing. And I find by eliminating, creativity is a process of like eliminating options. So I can just do the thing and not have to worry about all the other stuff.
Yeah. It's well, look, I'm pretty much the same. Like, again, I've been here 9 years, and the first comment that I get from people, "Did you just arrive on the island?" People have never seen me, so I'm either here or I'm going to play board game with a bunch of friends, or I'm doing some like charity stuff. So I will be there. So
Yeah.
I don't. But that's the thing. Remember when I said everything that I do is designed to build my ideal lifestyle. Some
Yeah.
people might be listening here will be like, "Oh my god, this will be the most boring life." Maybe for you, for me, it's perfect.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's all that matters, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, just on that too, just on the purpose statement stuff, the purpose stuff,
Mhm.
like, and being somebody who's very into systems design. When you look into like cybernetics and systems thinking, you've got like a start point, which I think is the purpose, and then you've got a vision statement, which is the end point. It's like the future world that you're creating, and a system needs 2 points of reference so it can correct course.
Yeah.
Right? And that's systems way of thinking is how I view brand and core identity. Do you have, and it's maybe you don't, and that's it's just about your day-to-day being present and living the lifestyle that you like to live. But do you have a vision for the world and where we're headed as humanity, and maybe like how some of these tools are maybe contributing to that at all? Or
Oh yeah.
and
So you mean like a lifetime goal, or me like checking where the
yeah,
planet?
I mean, maybe like, where do you see the world going with your? Maybe there's two questions here. Okay, the first one is maybe where do you see what vision? Is there a future state in which you're aiming to contribute to?
Yeah. So there are like two. I have two life goals. Like once I've done that, I'm gold. Right. So first one, I want to do something for the planet. Okay. I don't know I didn't know in which shape or form. But my favorite animal is sea turtles. I love sea turtles. They're the best. They're just swimming like this. And so
I love that Finding Nemo, the turtle in there,
yeah,
Crush, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I decided, hey, I want to do something for the planet, and I had the chance to the opportunity to buy land here. So I bought land with like there's a private beach under the land, it's like a cliff, and there's a private beach under it. And I bought it because one day when it's ready, because mentalities also need to shift, because people see a turtle, they're hungry, they're gonna kill the damn turtle. You know what I mean?
Do
So
people eat them?
yeah, I mean, yeah, people eat turtles. Yeah. So my goal is one day I'm gonna have some baby turtles, and then I'm gonna put them in the sand, and then they're gonna hatch, and they're gonna go do whatever turtles do. And one day they come back, there is a place to lay eggs. They're
Oh,
safe.
that's right, because they come back to the same place, right, where they hatch from.
Yes.
So you want to build a turtle sanctuary.
Yes.
I know someone whose dream this is too, to
Oh,
build
yeah?
a turtle sanctuary. I want to
Alright.
connect you guys on.
Okay.
It's just one email, but
Yeah.
it's one email away.
All right.
That's so cool.
And so yeah, once I see those baby turtles hatch and go to the water, I think I'm good. And then the other thing is I don't like inequalities, and so I want to do something for women, because the balance between the society in most cases pretty patriarch.
Yeah, patriarchal.
Yes.
Patriarchal. I don't know how to
Yes.
say that, but yeah.
Yeah. And so, for example, there are a lot of countries where if you have money to send one kid to school, you'll send the boy usually, because the girl, she will have to stay at home with the kids and blah blah blah. That's basically how people think. And so I want to be able to to help out with this stuff, like, but being very sometimes your ego gets in the way, thinking that you can change the whole world in like a week or something. Just knowing that my contribution will help, maybe it's going to manifest in like 5 generations or something.
Yeah.
But so what I think is education is the best thing that you can give to someone, and I want to be able to provide education to little girls, so that unfortunately these things take time. So these little girls, some of them will be forced to be at home with the kids, even though they wanted to do something else. But the more educated they are, the more information they can give to the kids.
Yeah.
And that raises so instead of like pulling the pyramid from the top, not saying with no judgment or something, like raising the base
Yeah.
for me is more efficient than helping the ones that already were favored, even though they don't have much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
got it. I
And
got it.
so I've been looking at some point I was like, okay, I'm going to start a school, right? For these little girls. Now, obviously you always have people, ooh, this is very weird. And yeah, okay. But then I realized, uh, so now if I do a school, it's like a very regionalized effort.
Yeah.
Whereas now with globalization, maybe I can, and I'm looking for information on how to do this stuff. Maybe I can partner up with like universities or something where some little girl in Kenya and then another one in Guatemala can have that stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not in like a village or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of possibilities with that stuff,
Mm.
like with what the internet provides and
Yeah.
and how we can share information. And I think it's obviously there's many parts in that in terms of like infrastructure and then setting up systems and whatnot. But yeah, it's totally possible. I think you should definitely keep going with that. If you ever want to jam on it, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, for sure. I know people who were in NGOs and stuff like that. So I'm asking for advice. And me personally, so in the mastermind that I told you, the way it works is I've been on this island for like 9 years. Right, island has been so nice to me. Is when someone joins the mastermind, so there's a fee to join. It opens a kind of like a scholarship for a local Indonesian person to join at the same time as you. Let's say, for example, you decide to join.
Yeah.
You can say, I know this girl or I know this boy. They're go-getters, they're hustlers, they really want it. They just don't have the guidance. They don't have the finances to pay something like this. You can say, I want that person to join, and that person joins for free. Because I want Indonesia to benefit from this stuff, and I want to help those kids realize that, in their mind, they have like an inferiority complex of, oh no, this is just for foreigners. We cannot do this because we're Indonesians and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not true. You know what I mean? Because, I take 100 Australians, 100 Americans, 100 Indonesians. Statistically, there's the same potential, right? It's just then access to the infrastructure and then your mindset of thinking that, oh, they're better than me. They're not, right? And so, so in the mastermind right now, we have 7 people already who benefit from this, and they've already started creating businesses for themselves that they will pass down to other Indonesians and inspire other Indonesians, so that's actually kind of like the purpose of the mastermind.
Very cool. I love it. So you're already kind of starting on this vision, legacy project of yours, through this like test group of the mastermind. It's very cool. I love that. I'd love to find out more. I'm going to ask you a bit about just how we can join the mastermind in a second. Before I move on to that, just one last thing is, what do you see the world, where are we headed, like with all of these automations and these tools and these systems, bots, AIs? Where are we headed as humanity? And what do our lives look in the future like as business people? In this kind of civilization, what are you seeing?
No, I think it's just one of those things. When in like 3,000 years, people are going to look at us. For example, when you read a book about Middle Ages, you're like, oh, these people were so primitive. And so it's just when people had cars, when you had a horse, you're like, oh my god, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is going to, some things are going to disappear and some other things are going to spawn from there. Definitely what I think the main difference is going to be with AI. I don't know exactly where, because I mean, a lot of these things, like these AI thingies, they already existed before. We just didn't have a name for it. We didn't realize it was there, but I think it's going to be more whoever has the attention. So every day there's a new AI. Like, oh my god, what is this AI? It can do like, I don't know, like bubbles in shape of unicorns. And then you'll spend 3 days looking at it. We don't need it, right? It's just cool, right? And so I think the difference is going to be, are you able to focus on what it is that you are actually doing, what you actually need, more than stuff? Because we're all going to have, not everybody, but let's say, I technically you could have access to the same kind of AI that other people are you going to use, but it's just more, are you letting all this stuff distract you, or can you, stay focused, from like a business perspective. Then from, like a, you know, as a species and stuff, I think it is going to, me, I'm trying to look at the bright side of this stuff. So it's going to help in a lot of different fields, like, the medical field is going to be able to do a lot of more diagnostics and stuff. Even, the things with the it's like pretty taboo and stuff, but like, when you need to come up with like a vaccine or something, then it normally takes 10 years, 15 years, because you need to test on enough people. With AI, it's going to be able to do the simulation of testing different blah, blah, blah in like a matter of like maybe in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're going to be protected against diseases that would have killed, millions of people, because now we're going to be able to have so much test and data that will say, okay, this is safe, So, obviously it can be used for evil, it can be used for blah, 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 but I'm trying to look at.
It's like anything, right?
Yeah.
Anything. You can use a knife to, slice a piece of fruit to feed somebody, or it can be used for violence. So it's like all these tools are kind of like that way, internet, all of it. But so it's and everything's moving so fast, exponentially fast. But on that note, Martin, what are your channels? How can people join the mastermind? Is it open to everyone? Or you have like a bit of a filter on who's in?
So again, remember, one of my rules is leave me alone. So when I say
got
leave
it.
me alone, no, it's more, I don't need people who are gonna moan and I want people who are like,
can it be engaged and contribute, right?
Yes, and people who one of the main things that I want in this mastermind is people who think.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, I can show them the direction, I can give them the tools and stuff, but I expect them to go out and explore, and then
bring back some insights, right, to add value to the group.
Yeah, and like, okay, I've tested that. What do you think? But not people are gonna message me every 2 minutes. And, oh, can you do this for me and stuff? So it's right now it's a community. It started because I've been mentoring an Indonesian for the last 6 years, and I'm teaching him everything that I know. I'm trying to pass that to him so he can pass it to Indonesia. And because I kind of like enjoy doing this.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good legacy stuff. I think it's important. We got to share the knowledge.
Yeah. Because again, this island is being very, very, nice to all of us foreigners come here. It's not very complicated for us to come here. Good luck for them to go to France. They can't. I find it unfair, So then I had a bunch of friends who, previously they told me, oh, can you teach me? I was like, dude, I don't have time. Now I opened it and stuff. So if you go to my website, I'll leave you
I'll put the link below so you can check that out.
Or if you just type martinmastermind.com in your browser, it's going to take you there. There's going to be some fancy redirection stuff. And then from there, you can see what the mastermind is about. And then there is something to get on the call, so we get to know each other, to see if you're the right fit, and also if I'm the right fit, right? Because it works both ways. It's not like, and then from there, then I'll make a decision. Oh, okay, well that person, I vibe with them. I like their values and stuff, because once they're in the community, then I share everything I know with these people, and it's like family, right? So I don't want someone who's going to be like,
you want it. It's got to be the right for the culture. You got to create the right environment to build the culture that's aligned to your values, right?
Yeah.
Very important. I think it's important when hiring somebody to do that too. And what about channels? Are you on social media, or you're not a social media person? I have a feeling.
Actually,
are you?
No, like
you've got a podcast.
I do have a podcast, indeed. I have
on Spotify. I've seen it. Check it out. What's it called again?
It's called Freedom by Choice.
Freedom by Choice. Yep.
So yeah, it's on Apple and
you
Spotify.
put the videos up on Spotify, I've seen too.
Yeah,
you load the video there.
But I started recently putting the videos. I started with audio. I started like 6 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So I have like close to 600 episodes there.
Oh wow,
and
that's an achievement.
Yeah, and just because I made it super easy for myself.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So that podcast is a reflection of my life and who I am. So if you listen to the podcast, you will know everything about me. I'm a very simple guy. So for example, I don't do any editing or something.
Yeah.
I have something that happened today that I think is interesting. I'll just record it, share it, boom, it's online straight away. You know what I mean? So I have the podcast. I do actually have a lot of social media channels, but some bots running them. So I have like hundreds of Pinterest accounts, hundreds of TikTok accounts. But do
you have are you working on a personal brand at all, or not really?
Now, yes. Well, because people told me, for a certain number of years, I told you nobody knows I'm here. People told me, dude, you know so much, you can contribute so much, and you need to do a little bit of like personal branding. So now I'm doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
What
channels are you on? X?
Have
you explored X at all, or not really?
I've been on like Twitter since I think 2007 or 2000 something. I've never used it. I never understood it. Now I had a bot that does stuff there. I still don't understand the platform.
I'm getting to know it. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah?
I think that's where I'm going to focus.
Yeah.
And there's this really cool app called Hyperfury, and you can plan.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Matt Gray. And
you can plan your tweets. You're still calling it Twitter, but it's Twitter. You refuse to call it X.
No, I just forget about it.
Okay, no problems.
I have nothing against X.
Twitter.
Yeah. For example, I have a Pinterest account. I have like 1 million views every month on that Pinterest account.
Wow.
And
that's something I haven't explored either. But apparently that's good for podcasts, Pinterest, to put Pinterest. It works as a search engine, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a search engine.
Yeah.
And this is by far the social network. It's not a social network, it's a search engine where people spend the most money. So it's not even comparable.
I've heard that. Actually, I've got a client in Botswana, and I've been doing a bit of research on and in Africa, and apparently Botswana has like one of the highest devices per user, mobile devices uptake, and also Pinterest is the second most used social media platform in Botswana.
Yeah, simply because people are looking for something. Let me look for a bottle, blah blah. Once they find it, they buy it.
Okay, it's interesting. I got to check that out. I haven't really looked at it.
So but I will say, definitely my podcast. Just go to if you go to martinmastermind.com, or there's going to be my website, so you can see what I'm about. My podcast will tell you everything about me, everything I believe in, what my values are, etc. And if you think, I'm vibing with it, then by any means go check it out. I think for me that's the most important. I want people to go to a place where they feel they belong, which has the right values and stuff. Start there.
Yeah. And what about these tools? To get access to the tools, you got to make it into the mastermind.
Yeah.
You're not sharing them outside of that.
I sometimes I do sell like a bunch. Let's say, for example, I create a really cool bot that automates your Instagram and stuff like that. Sometimes I will go out and email my list saying, I've just created this stuff for the next 3 days. You can buy it. So I'll have some flash offers here and there. I used to have, I do actually have, at some point I was creating one product per week because, I have 24 hours to do stuff. And so I do have a bunch of like products and stuff that I've removed from the website because I only want to focus on the mastermind. But I do have a bunch of like tools and courses and stuff that I've created. Maybe I will give you like a list
maybe I could chuck some of those down there. People might be interested to. I'm sure people would be interested. Is there anything else worth mentioning before we wrap up here? We've got anything?
No, what the one thing I will say is every single one of you guys watching, right now, I think you in your head you're in the wrong business. Okay, your business is making your life awesome. Okay, and there is no, you don't have any competitors. Like it would be a good thing that to have competitor, like someone has devoted their life to make mine awesome. You know what I mean? But so me, for example, I don't feel like I have a competitor because my whole goal is to make my life awesome.
Yeah.
And once you understand this, I'm saying this just because there's a lot of like anger and frustration and jealousy and blah 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 because you see these other people do this blah blah blah. It will mess up with your life, especially with like all the social media stuff. It's just understand. You have your own life that you're trying to build at your own pace, and don't worry too much about the other things. They're trying to make their life awesome. That's not your business, right? Yours is to make yours.
That's
And
very good advice, isn't it?
nah.
I think that it's very easy to get stuck on that if you there's probably a lot of feeling of not being where you want to be in life, or
Mm-hmm.
there's some preconceived idea about where you're supposed to be, and I
Yeah.
think people can feel a lot of pressure, and you never really know what's going on for someone or what they've had
Exactly.
to go through to get where they are, right?
Yeah, yeah. You only see glimpses what they want to show you, but everybody has struggles, And I'm probably sure that 99% of their life you will hate it.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
Yeah, that's
So.
right. That's very, very, very wise advice.
Mm.
Well, thank you very much,
Oh, no
Martin.
worries.
It's been really, really cool to have you on the
Well,
show.
yeah, no worries.
And thanks for having us here in your
Okay.
pad in Chengdu. And yes, and if you don't already, like and subscribe if you've got this far. Thank you for tuning in, and yeah, you can find us on all the platforms, obviously Spotify, YouTube, all podcast platforms, and you can follow the podcast at Design on Purpose on Instagram, at Design on Purpose on TikTok, and you can find me at Rixley on Instagram and at Captain Rixley on X. But thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you guys soon. Ciao. Thanks, Martin.
Yeah, no worries.
Very cool, mate.